Welcome to Bachelor,
a podcast so educational it could be a university class.
With your hosts,
Danielle Dick McHugh,
Kim Hannah,
and Bill Henninger. Welcome everybody. This week we have Danielle and I. It's been a long time since just the two of us have recorded, I think.
I'm excited. Bestie Bill and me.
What's going on with you? Anything exciting? You're taking a trip pretty soon, right?
I am. We are going to Disney World with our kids for the first time, and I am so jazzed. I have a wild and wicked week at work, but I can do anything for a week, and then we are flying to Orlando, and it's magic time.
Exciting.
Yeah. How about you?
I still have one kidney. Like the other one hasn't grown back. I was thinking it might be like a chia pet, like 5 to 6 weeks, and then it's back. But yeah, no, nothing. Back to work.
How's that kidney doing? Is it lonely all by itself?
I feel like it's really like taken up it always wanted to kind of shine, and now it's like, all right, I can do this. So all my numbers were all but one of my numbers were what's expected of someone with two kidneys. And then the other one was fine for only having one kidney. So they're like, yeah, you're good. Like,
Awesome. Way to go, kidney.
yeah, right. I think it was just being held back by the other one. So,
and it sounds like it was a successful transplant.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if I said that on here. We heard that it went to somebody and it started making urine within the first couple hours. It made 3 liters of glorious urine. So yeah. Which apparently to a nephrologist is like gold, liquid gold.
Liquid gold.
Liquid
I love
gold.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd care this much about urine.
Hey, it's doing good work for our bodies, and that's pretty exciting. So yeah.
All right, I got the question of the day. You ready?
Bring it on.
I have to cough.
It's getting dry outside.
Yeah. And then it was like warm today. Anyways, for anyone here who's not from Iowa, this is what we do. We All right. What TV show dad, so not grandparent, TV show dad would you like to become a bonus grandparent? So you don't want them to be your like grandparent you grew up with. They come in like when your grandma's 70 or something like that.
Phil Dunphy from Modern Family.
That's a really good one. Yeah, and he'd like try so hard to be like the best grandpa.
Yeah, I think there's something, Ryan and I were talking about this, that there's just something so incredibly endearing about the characters on that show, that they're all a little weird and quirky, but like also wildly endearing. And he reminds me so much of my dad.
Really?
That actually, to imagine him as like a bonus grandpa sounds like, and it doesn't seem like too much of a stretch.
I thought, I'm looking up his name now. Philip Banks, the dad from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
He just seemed like he was the perfect mix of being like kind of annoyed with everything, but also like so nice and fatherly. And he was so smart. And like, Will was kind of an ass and he like just took care of him, even though he kind of was annoyed by him 24/7. So
I love that we both chose Phil's.
yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil. I like that.
Yeah. I do love Phil Dunphy. I didn't even think about, but you're right. He would be amazing. And like he would do like magician tricks for the kids and slacklining and yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. You ready for this? So
we're
gonna go. I'm just gonna break it down as things happen for the Golden Bachelor. And I'll be honest, I haven't totally learned the names of the women. I just for whatever reason, I just haven't put in the effort. I know who they are, but like if you say a name, so I'm going in the order of the dates. So Theresa's hometown. She was the one where he talked to the kids and he was like, do you think I could be your new grandpa? And they were like, yeah, you could be our new grandpa or whatever they call him. What do you think about those interactions? I kind of cringed.
So I just find her awkward.
Yes.
She's nice, but like there's just something awkward about her.
Mhm.
And I don't know, like maybe it feels like she's just like trying too hard. Like she feels like that person, I don't know. Do you have like friends that they're like really good people,
Mhm.
but like they're trying so hard
Mhm. I feel
that
like they're
like,
afraid in a way.
oh yeah, but in a different way. Like that's
Different
like
way.
more
Yeah.
obnoxious.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how I would explain this, but like, yeah, I think that she like there's nothing like she's a lovely human, but she's just there's something a little awkward about her.
Yeah. I get that.
And he's a little bit awkward too. So like honestly, that kind of works. But
I feel like he's the type of guy when you tell a joke or something, it's like he's so earnest about everything. He just like doesn't get the joke. Or like if you're kind of laughing at someone, he's like, it's not nice to laugh at somebody. It's like, well, in our family we kind of laugh at each other. That's the way things go. It's just how we are. And he'd be like, I don't like hurting people's feelings. And it's like, all right, well, just suck it back in a little bit, Jerry.
Gerry.
Jerry. So I felt like it was just totally, I felt like a lot of it was awkward.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the takeaway. What go ahead.
It was interesting because I felt like, how to put this? There were also across this entire episodes just a lot of shots of him like laughing and playing with their grandkids.
Yes.
And I thought that it was delightful, but I also was sort of like, is this for real? Like there it felt very scripted to me.
Yeah, I felt like they were definitely like, he's a grandpa. He could totally be a grandpa. Look at him, grandpa, grandpa, grandpa. Like, yeah.
I do find it very interesting, and I would love to hear Elaine's take on this.
Mhm.
I find it interesting that there wasn't a ton of discussion about like, should I introduce you to the grandkids or should we introduce, like a
Mhm.
lot of that seemed to be a lot less of an issue.
Right. So here is my question. He has grandkids, right? Will the two women get to meet his grandkids? Because that's a little bit different of a situation, right? Like you're introducing multiple people to grandkids. And I think that would be a little bit more awkward.
Or yeah, hard to explain to them. But I just found the dynamic of like, all right, when we have a younger bachelor or bachelorette
Yes.
and they're introduced, one of the sort of like through lines, I guess, is often like, do you introduce them to your kids? How are you gonna do that? If they do, it becomes like a big deal. And I get that like maybe part of it is grandma's going on this show.
Right.
um, but it did seem like a different, a lot less stakes, maybe like low stakes to introduce a potential partner to a grandchild
I'm still
than
listening. I have to
to
close the
do,
door. Keep
yeah,
going.
yeah, it just felt like it was very clear that the stakes were different if
Yeah,
you were introducing them to a grandkid than you would like your own kids.
right. I thought the same thing. Um, yeah, maybe it's just because like in those families, grandparents aren't as integral in raising the kids. But like in your family, like your parents and your in-laws do a fair amount of like, you take the kids over there, right? So there's a part of me that's like, I would want to like they're gonna be around the kid a lot. So
Yeah, I mean, I like that they did introduce, and I thought, like, again, I thought those parts were like, heartwarming, but they
right.
didn't feel real to me. They
Um,
felt like a little scripted to me. But I just thought that it was interesting that, I made me think, like, would I be as cautious introducing someone that is a potential grandparent versus like a kid, because I do think like those are different relationships.
Oh,
And
well, it depends on the family, but yeah.
yeah. And so I don't know. I found that I noticed that, and I thought that it was interesting.
Yeah. If you listening are interested in intergenerational family relationships, I know a wonderful program at the University of Northern Iowa where you could study that. You can get your degree in it. Yeah, I think that's really interesting too. I just also think the involvement of grandparents and families is just fascinating. Like, even if you just look in the US, like how
Yeah.
grandparents are involved. And then if you look at like across cultures, it's very common for grandparents to live with families. So to have like a sandwich kind of thing in the house where you've got grandparents, parents, and kids, it's just a very interesting dynamic. So, um, yeah. Gerry said he was in love with Theresa. But that's not the only person he said it, right?
Ooh, so a friend of mine
Huh?
was texting me, and she was so upset
Oh,
about
really?
the episode that Gerry told all three women that he was in love with them.
Or like
I
some variation of it. Yeah. Like,
Yes, it was interesting because I felt that it was like the most tentative with Theresa.
yes.
And I wondered if they showed things in order that they also filmed things,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it felt like to me, like with Theresa, I couldn't tell if it's that he was more tentative because he was more tentative about their relationship, or if he was more tentative because he didn't it almost felt to me like he was unsure if he should let these women know that he's in love with them or not. And then it's like he like broke the seal with we'll talk about pee metaphors
Yeah.
all night tonight. But like he broke the seal with Theresa, and then it felt like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this. And it felt like more sure, I felt like with the other two.
Yes. I think it's just I don't think him and Teresa have as strong of a bond. That's
So I feel like to me, it feels like very clearly Faith.
yeah. So okay, so let's move on to Faith. So I have a
Mhm.
question about this. She loves horses, and Gerry, now I'm gonna call him Gerry. I did it once and now I'm never gonna be able to undo it. Gerry, uh
Gary, you said
Gerry,
it and I did it.
I know, I've done it. I've done it again.
I like second guess. I was like, I don't feel this is like quite right, but I'm going with it.
Oh, and
Oh,
once I
Rachel
start something
Nicole.
like that, man, it'll go for forever in my mind. I'll never correct it. I'm never coming back from this. Um, she loves horses. He seemed to not have a lot of experience. So I'm going to say something that might be controversial, might not. Horse people are weird, man. They love their horses, and by God, you're going to love them horses too. I'm a pet person, so I get it. Like I could never date, marry, fall in love with someone who wasn't okay with pets. But horse people are like another level, I feel like, because they're spending a lot of money, you know. And horses just kind of weird me out because they're so big, but they're also like they seem to be nice. I don't know. He didn't seem like totally on board. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that I'm just like so stuck on Bill, who's like the biggest animal lover I know, that it's like, I don't know about them horses.
I
They're suspicious animals.
I've dated people that had him and I just never bonded. Like I was just like I don't like them. I
So
like
I just
cows, I
don't
like pigs, horses. I'm not down with them.
So I don't know if it's that I don't know the right type of horse people, but I grew up in a small town that was known for its rodeo. So I like maybe it's just that I've been surrounded by horse people my whole life, and I just think that it's normal.
Normal. Yeah, like if you are yeah, like your family has weird stuff and you don't know it until you go to another family and you're like, "Oh, that's not normal."
Oh, people don't have collections like that. Yeah, yeah, no, I think um so I feel like his choice is gonna be Faith, but like I'm suspicious. So Faith, I think it was Faith that posted on Instagram that she had lunch with this guy that's I did not know who he was, but he was this very Fabio
Oh,
looking like he should be on like a romance novel. His muscles were as big as my entire body. I don't
really?
know that that's my thing, but this guy was huge and had long, luxurious hair. And she was like, I had lunch with him and he's like the best person ever. I love nice people. And I was like, but also seemed a lot younger than her, but I'm not gonna take that off the table. Age
Right.
is just a construct.
Correct. It's remember.
But yeah, so I don't know.
And she also seemed like she's not moving, right?
Oh, yes.
And so my mom and I were talking on the phone about this because that's what apparently my mom and I do. And mom thinks it's Faith. I think it's Faith. And then, but my mom was like, "Well, what do you think about? Was that going to stop him?" And it's like, I just don't think Gerry thinks about things like that. I think Gary's just kind of like, it'll work out. I'm in love. I think he has a very, my sense of him is that he is not pragmatic in the way he thinks about these things.
I would say it's interesting to me that they're talking about that.
Yeah.
I actually think that that could be one of the reasons that we feel like she would be the one,
Yeah. Oh,
right,
yeah. Since they
is
even,
because they're having those serious I mean, it's not like he's having pretty, I think, in-depth conversations with people,
mhm.
but I do think that that makes you feel like they're serious if they're talking about like, "Oh, well, where would we live?" and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I get the funny thing is it's like they know, I mean, they could live in two, like they probably both own their houses. It's
Mhm.
not the same thing as like 20-year-olds, right? I mean, you could do lots of different, maybe they want to live together, but they could split time. I mean, I assume they're both retired. It seems interesting. It seems, I guess I kind of felt like they were falling back on a script that you have to have when you're 25 and you're dating someone at a distance, right? We
Mm.
get in together. When do we say this isn't enough? And decide if we uproot our jobs and but if either one moved, they're gonna have to still travel to see grandkids. So
I think that I love that you brought that up in some ways that like we do have scripts for how to handle these different things that come up in relationships when we're 20,
right, yes.
but that we don't necessarily have a set of scripts the same way for later in life dating. And I think that a lot of that is we don't have a lot of representations of those relationships that you would learn those scripts in the same way. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it happens in The Bachelor and Bachelorette, right? They'll be like, it's not you, it's me. It's like, well, it's none of you. You've known each other for 12 minutes. Like, you can't tell if it's you or me. It's like, but I think you just, it's ingrained. That's how you break up with people, or those are the things that are like, those are the things we have to make decisions about, even if it's something else. You kind of fall back on, well, it's got to be, my hang up. And it's like, I just think it's, you guys have had one cup of coffee together.
So I feel like all three of the women that remain feel, how should I put this? A little bit housewifey to me,
Mm,
not like the show Housewives.
yeah.
And like Gary does not come across that way at all to me. And so that should be interesting because like I like Leslie, but she seems so much cooler than him.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I think maybe it was Leslie's grandkids, but one of the grandkids are like, she'd be a good grandma because she likes to come over. There was like three boys, and like she likes to come over and make us food. And I was like, first off, they're raising some little shit boys that need to like make their own sandwiches, right? These kids are well on their way to like, I don't know how to do my laundry. Second, I'm sure she's much more than someone that just makes sandwiches. And yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
They painted the women out to be like maternal grandmas, just like they come here and they take care of, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, just also in the way there's like something about, hmm, so like Faith is like posting about this person who I don't know who he is, but the internet seems to know. I should have like Googled his name. But like they feel more like celebrity-ish.
Okay.
And he seems like a normal. I will say like the visits felt like, oh, they have like normalish families and stuff. But there's just like other things like their Instagram accounts and stuff
Faith's
that
last name.
don't. What?
What's Faith's last name?
I don't know.
Oh, I was looking her up to see who the person was in the picture.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Faith, Golden Bachelor. Keep on with your thought.
Yeah, anyway, I just thought that it was interesting. I also thought, so you had brought up, Leslie's brother Stuart sort of being like, "Oh, what are your intentions?" That kind of conversation. Again, I felt like so much of this episode seemed scripted
Yeah.
more than reality TV. And I felt like to me, felt like, oh, well, we need to have these conversations where it's like, the dad that's like, what's your intentions with my daughter? How do we recreate that now? But for the Golden Bachelor, and we're just gonna stay with the script.
Yes. Yeah, I felt like I have no idea who that person is. It kind of looks like Chris Hemsworth.
Look at that hair though, and like seriously, okay.
I used to
They're
have.
like, I was not joking, that man's biceps are
Yeah,
bigger than my waist.
yeah, probably bigger than mine too.
It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought it was, and I said this in there, like, Stuart's like, "What are your intentions with my sister?" And I was kind of like, she's like 70 years old. Like, what are you? So you're afraid he's gonna knock her up? And like, I, I mean, you want to be protective, but I think it's back to that like roles thing, right? Like, also when someone's 70, like they've either had enough life experience that they can make decisions for themselves, or they are helpless. Like you're at a point where you should like you can make like I just don't know. I just it felt
That's why I was like, is this real life? Or did you all just go like, oh, this is the narrative that we tell. This is our storyline. And we like need this. And so like, hey, Stuart, here's what you're gonna ask him. Like,
and pretend like you're like I beat you up. Also, like I don't think Stuart didn't look like he like got a lot of gas tanks, so it would have to like be a quick beating up, or and Gerry is in shape, so I don't know. Yeah. Uh,
well,
so Gerry tells all the women that he loves them in various forms. So we've got a real pickle going on. And then he's giving roses away, and he gave one rose to who was it? One of the women got a rose. I told you I
Faith,
can't. Faith
Faith, right?
got the rose, yes. So then we're like waiting, and then he has a meltdown, walks off, and then they leave the show. So what do we think's gonna happen? I assume this is the part they keep showing where he's like, I'm done, and he walks off. Which is how I leave all buffets. I stand up from the table and I'm like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I cry
So
a
here's
little
the
bit.
thing. I feel like he is trying to just be like, oh, I'm just gonna share my real feelings.
Hmm.
And like the pickle that people get themselves in with this, like, I'm telling everybody I love them thing is like, I don't know that like honesty's not always the best
Not, no,
policy.
there is a lot of research that would suggest that honesty is not the best policy. Like big things, yes. Little things, no, lie. Save people's feelings.
Just because you feel something does not mean that you have to share it with other people. And
Yeah.
just because you don't share what you're feeling with other people all of the time, that does not make you inauthentic.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is the perfectly well stated. Like you are not being like non-authentic to people if you don't blurt out every thought you have at every moment. And sometimes I think the nice thing to do is to keep it inside and wait till you fully formed your feelings and then state them, instead of just right now I feel like I love you, right?
Right. I mean, to me, it's not that different than apologies in certain ways. That
Mhm.
I think there are times where people need to apologize for something and express that they're sorry about something to relieve their own guilt or shame, not necessarily because like it's not for the other person.
Exactly.
And I feel like this is kind of like I have an emotional buildup. I need a valve, like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree. And you can't take it back once you've said it. And we've all heard my statements on like love, that people say I'm in love with you, and I just don't think that's a thing. It's like it's love's not a destination, right? It is like an act of doing things and like how you treat people. And so I think of it like a threshold. And it's like I'm at the point where I'm willing to make a long-term commitment, which is really what they mean, right? And then say I'm in love with you on this show, they're saying I'm willing to make a long-term commitment to you in a relationship. Um, and it's really what they should be saying. It's like, but people say I'm in love with you. It's like, so are you always in love with the person? No. So were you lying then, or is love like a threshold that we reach? I don't know. Yeah.
I did appreciate though that in the episode he kind of struggled with like, hey, is like what I'm feeling love. Like, and
And then it was like,
I
dun,
can imagine if you've been
dun,
like in a
dun.
relationship and you've been married for, how you understand love at 71 is probably a lot different than the first time that you chose to express that, with his like late wife, and so I kind of appreciated that there are aspects where I think it would be pretty challenging to be able to really articulate what it is that you're feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
Because like fresh love feels also very different than I imagine. How long was he married to his wife? Like 40 years?
I'm 34 sticking into my
30?
head.
Okay. That's a different sort of love feeling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of research that like the initial love and then like as you progress, it like that like lust and those things get replaced by like contentment and trust and yeah. So by the
Yeah.
way, I thought that would have been a great time for like "What Is Love, Baby Don't Hurt Me" to start playing as he said it. It's like
That's what you were doing. I was like, I don't know, Bill's like dancing, but I have no
then they
idea.
start doing the head thing from the night at the Roxbury. Like,
Yeah.
all right, are we done with Golden Bachelor on to Bachelor in Paradise?
Yeah, we'll tune in next week, Gary.
Gerry. Okay, so Bachelor in Paradise was kind of a hot mess. Uh, and so I've broken it down by like the couples and what's happening, and I'm gonna do my best to keep it straight. So Tanner comes back and Kat's mad. So Kat and Tanner were together on Kat's birthday. On Kat's birthday, Tanner went on a date with Davia, who everyone agrees is really, really good looking. I agree as well. Tanner's obsessed with the fact that she's got one colored eye and another colored eye, which, by the way, Danielle gave me an awesome adult coloring book. And one of the cats I colored, I did two different eyes.
Yes. Did you do it during a meeting at work?
No, that's tomorrow, but I might do it during the meeting.
Okay. I
So
believe
yeah, so he comes back, and basically tells Kat, "Hey, Davi and I had a great time." Kat blows up. She says she doesn't care. Do you think he handled it well?
I, she did this whole like he didn't break up with me, like I broke up with him, and I felt like one I felt like in the moment she actually handled it way better than I think we experienced her handling it because
Right.
we'd hear what she said, but then like we'd hear her like losing it behind the scenes. And so um I felt like he handled that as well as he could have. And y'all, cat needs some help.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Have you, because have you ever dated anyone and like in the first like 2 weeks, you're like, oh, this person's really cool. And then it's like all of a sudden you're like, oh no, oh
Oh,
no. And then you're like, I need to break up, but I fear a little bit for my safety. Have you ever?
mm.
I have been in that relationship. And so I feel like that's where Tanner was, where he was like, I need an out. And then Davia came in, and then it was like, all right, we're ripping it. And I thought he handled it as well as he could.
I feel like Kat is getting everything that she deserves. I mean, because it's been like wild because she does this to other people and then she has it done to her and
He's
she
like,
has no self-reflexivity about it.
yeah, yeah. And
And
she's
then,
like giddy when she does it to other people, like, ha ha ha, I got you. Um, but she has like a 20-second regeneration period. And then she's deciding she's gonna hit on John Henry. Um, and John Henry's like, oh shucks, right? Like just throwing down the like, I'm a welder. Which okay, I did. Here's one thing I will say about Kat. From the classes I teach, and we talk about flirting. You want someone to like you, you need to do exactly what she did. And she was like, tell me about underwater welding. And John's like, well, you go down and you take the oxygen tank and then you weld. Is it dangerous? Yeah, it's dangerous. Oh my God, tell me more. That, like, you want someone to like you, that's what you do. You ask them about them, and then no matter what they say, you're just like, wow, that's amazing. Boom. So, but
she
then,
is so gorgeous and she's so terrifying.
yes, yes. And then Olivia is like, no, that's my man. And if you remember way back, Braden was with Olivia, right? And then did Kat take Braden? Yes. It's been a while. At some point, this happened once already. And so Olivia or Kat's circling back around to screw Olivia over. Olivia's not happy. So thoughts on this?
I like Olivia a lot. She seems young.
Mhm.
But I think she will grow into a very well-adjusted older person. I like her though quite a bit. And I understand why she's feeling frustrated with Kat. I think it's really not cool what Kat's doing.
Yeah.
Like there's no like it's sort of like Kat's taking because they do kind of pair up and you know that she's paired with John Henry and Kat will do these power plays like who is it that comes in? Charity. Charity
Oh,
comes in and she's like, "Oh yeah, so like I've had this thing going on with John Henry." And you're like, she just rewrites the narrative that she wants and rolls with it. It's so audacious.
I
It's
think she's not.
amazing television, but if this is who she is in real life,
So I think some of them are acting, but I feel like she has consistently not been in touch with reality. And just like, I think she just might be somebody who it's just like, she says what she wants, she does what she wants. And like, I bet she burns through friends. I bet,
it's a bubble. Do you know like the John Hamm bubble? It's from the
yes,
episode of
30 Rock.
yes, of 30 Rock. And
That
it's
is a
like
really good example. Yeah.
he just gets away with all this stuff because he's attractive and he has no idea that other people have to work for it and that like he's pretty dumb but he's like got this amazing doctor job because he's just attractive. And I feel because like I want to not find Kat attractive and I think she's so gorgeous. It's so annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think John's probably his better idea is to go with Olivia. That being said, he seems like somebody who is just very reserved and quiet and probably needs someone to take the lead. And I feel like that is the type of person that Kat's talons are like, yes.
I also don't feel like John Henry and Olivia makes sense to me. They are different people and I just in some ways like I think she has a better personality than he does.
Yeah, I feel like the girls are attracted to one that he's really good looking, but then also it's like he's got that kind of like aw shucks charm to him. But I also think he's one of those people that after you would date him for a bit, you'd be like, something other than underwater welding, buddy. Something other than underwater welding. Anything. Like, come on, like just give me something. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, and Olivia seems like a pretty playful, like, I'm open to new experiences, let's just go for this sort of thing. Ooh, cat.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So Blake and Jess are at a crossroads. Basically, Jess isn't sold. I thought this was an interesting conversation they had, right? So they have this talk, and Jess is like, I kind of want to explore other stuff. And Blake's like, well, I'm ready to just like commit to you, but I'm not going to do it until you tell me you're ready to commit to me, which is really an odd argument, right? Like, I feel like
This
someone's
is a narrative in so many of the novels that I write or read. I will write some someday. That was a slip. But like it is Danielle's dreams just coming out. But I do think that like, ooh, that's like so common that people are like, "Oh, I want to commit to you," but like I'm too scared to do that or admit that. So, like, I need us to be in the same place for me to be vulnerable enough to tell you what I actually just told you by telling you what I tell you if you told me.
but it's not really vulnerability, or it's less vulnerable if you know it's going to be received correctly,
Mhm.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like somebody's got to jump at some point. Like someone's got to make the leap of faith. But luckily, Genevieve comes in. And Blake says to Jess he has to go on the date because she wasn't willing to commit to him. Which so if you listen to the last podcast, there was a long talk about Blake, and Kelsey is team Blake. Kim is not team Blake. And then Kelsey and Kim seem to have a weird where they like agreed to disagree, but then kept agreeing. And I'm not sure who's on what team. So I just want to plant my flag in the ground. I think Blake is less aw shucks than he puts out to be. I think he's kind of manipulative. I think he is, yeah, go ahead.
I agree.
I think he is trying to manipulate Jess into this and make her feel bad. And she already said she felt bad. I feel like he was trying to make her feel extra bad by saying, well, I have to go because you won't commit.
So here's the thing. I am not team Blake,
Uh-huh.
but I also think that Jess has some responsibility in this.
Oh yeah, I think so.
So I do think that she was kind of, I think that oftentimes I've seen people do this in my life too, where they're like, hey, maybe I want to explore other options and they want to explore, but they also want to still hold on to the person.
Yes. Yep.
I think that that happens so frequently where it's like, I don't want to be in a relationship with you, but I also don't want you to be in a relationship with anybody else.
Yep. I want you to want me, but I want to be able to see other people, which I agree with. That being said, I felt like Blake still is like, rub your
Yes.
face. I'm gonna like make you feel bad, and you even heard it when he was on his date. He's like, you know, Genevieve's great. I haven't thought about Jess at all, but now I'm thinking about her. And it's like, oh, geez.
So, I mean, I just think that, how to put this, there's a reason why Blake has been on all of these different seasons.
Yeah,
And it's not because he's an outstanding guy and aw shucks, things just haven't gone his way.
yeah, yeah. At some point, he knows what he's doing, even though he tries to play it like I just fall in love with everybody. So. But then Tyler takes the opportunity to go after Jess, and she's with it. Um, and then they make out. And yeah.
Tyler and Jess make so much sense to me.
Yes. But then what happens to Mercedes? We have a love pentagon now.
Mm.
I feel bad for Mercedes. She seems like the highest like operator of all of them. She seems like a nice person.
We
Uh,
haven't seen much of her.
which it probably means she's a good person, right? Like she's just like vibing, she's drinking, she's having a good time, she's not stirring up shit.
Go,
And
go,
she's an Iowan, so she has to be, you know, amazing, right?
grounded, you know?
Yep. Um, yeah, I don't know where all that goes. I think Blake is gonna want to go back to Jess. I think Tyler's gonna get involved. I thought there was a scene where Blake looked like he was gonna fight somebody, so I have a feeling it's gonna be Blake and Tyler.
That's like the weirdest fight to me.
Yeah. I feel
I
like,
think
go ahead.
Tyler's so nice. I would actually love to see him throw down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Blake looks like he probably could fight. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not like a wrestler. He's got like the look of a wrestler, like stocky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because I feel like Tyler and Jess, if they had partnered up at the beginning of the season, I could see them finishing an engagement.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd go with that. I don't think I feel it as strongly as you do, but I can see it.
Yeah.
So then Braden gets pulled by Becca, and Braden is basically a giant golden retriever. He loves Becca. He's totally forgotten about Rachel Nicole, which makes Rachel Nicole sad. Um, Here's my thing about Braden. When Elaine and I were watching this, I was like, if there was a TV show about my life and I was the main character, somebody exactly like Braden would come in for comic relief just to like annoy me. There is something about him. Like, I would be at the bar with my friends and Braden would be like an ancillary friend. He'd walk in and I'd be like, shut the fuck up, Braden. Like, there's just something about that guy. And then he starts freestyle rapping. Of course, Braden freestyle raps. Of course he does. Why wouldn't he? Like, one of the things that I just despise in life as a white guy, just like a freestyle rap. Like, oh, shut up. Why aren't
It's
we
because it reminds you of slam poetry, isn't
Yes,
it?
yes, freestyle rapping is just white guys who want to make it cool, want to make slam poetry cooler.
I think, you know, I think that one of the issues with Braden is that he's always going to be distracted by the next shiny thing.
Yes. Yep. The thing
And
is very, oh, go ahead.
I felt so bad for Rachel Nicole. And I don't know. I didn't see what the connection was with Becca
Mhm.
besides physical attractiveness. Um but for all it's worth, like I cannot imagine Rachel Nicole with Braden long term either.
No, I said they kind of, have you ever watched Parks and Rec? They reminded me a little bit of Ron and Tammy too, where when they're like, oh God, and they're like going to the hotel and they're like, they just
Yes.
seem so drunk on love that one date. And it was like, man, they're gonna burn through. Like, most people that I've seen that end up in a relationship, like where they date someone and they're like that into each other, it's like you burn through that so fast. And then it's like you just have no foundation. You are just like, where are we? This is not good. Yeah.
Ooh. I
Yeah.
just think that like in some ways him and Kat made sense to me, the same reason that you think Kat and John Henry make sense.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's because I just feel like Braden
Hmm.
needs somebody that's gonna like boss him around.
Dress him.
But like somebody's like he needs someone that is going to power play him.
Yeah.
Like, you know? And um and I feel like Rachel Nicole is just too nice and isn't gonna hold boundaries the way that somebody would have to hold boundaries with him.
Well, and I also don't know if she's a speak my mind person. Like, she
No.
is to like freeze you out, like silent treatment. And it's like, I just think she would get so frustrated with Braden because he'd be like, on to the next thing. New earrings. So Kat is still stirring up shit. She tells Eliza that Aaron is a dog, and she's concerned. And then Aaron says he's not a dog to Eliza, and then Kat says, he says that to Kat, and then Kat says, I was just telling a friend. And how will we ever know if Aaron really was talking to somebody who was dating, somebody was dating right before he went on the show with Charity? Well, in walks Charity, and then we're done. What do you think?
Well, I felt like didn't they show some of this? Didn't they show like Charity having I don't know if because
So
Charity had a conversation with some of them.
yeah, did they say? I thought that they left it at a cliffhanger.
They might have.
Yeah.
But I felt like Charity, like we got to see Charity talk to some of them, or maybe it's just in her introduction. She doesn't give very much away. But ooh, I don't know about Aaron.
He's one of those guys that it's like he seems to be doing well, and then like out of nowhere he does something and you're like, he seems dirty. Like he seems like he would like sell you down the river.
I just I don't know. I feel like I think that there's a chance that he is not as responsible. Like I don't trust like all the internet rumor stuff. But I also feel like he was trying to explain things and it legit made no sense. And it's like one of those things where it's like if this is you trying to defend yourself, like you gotta do yourself a better job.
Yes. I don't think that I don't think that they totally like I don't think that they answered the question. I
Okay. Because she
that
sat down with the women and chatted with them
she was
some.
talking to the women, but she never got to ask her. And Aaron
Yeah.
was like, these rumors could ruin my life. And then that's where we end. I think he was. It just listen, I watched enough Vanderpump Rules while I was recovering from donating a kidney, that I know that if there's a rumor that starts, it seems like a lot of times rumors are true, or there's like partial truth to it, right? Like it's just very rare that somebody's just like, I go into work and I'm like, Danielle's actually a man, right? Just or like,
No, I mean, I do think you're right that a lot of times
Danielle ate her first baby.
I I do not think that, especially when it comes to the internet, I think that a lot of things can be miscommunicated. That being said, I think that a lot of times when you hear rumors, there are elements of them that are based in some sort of truth.
Yep,
Now, whether or not that would lead you to the same conclusion is a different story.
I agree. So what do you think? You think he did it?
I don't know what I think, but I think even if he didn't do it, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just he's not my favorite.
yeah. He just gives me the like he just like there's just something there about him that I'm like, I don't know. I don't trust it.
He's quiet and I don't trust quiet people.
All right, lessons learned.
Hmm.
I feel like we should have just left it there. I don't trust quiet people.
I don't trust the end.
There.
Uh, I learned that we struggle mightily with names.
Yes.
I I also I am sort of really thinking about the scripts that we have for relationships. And do we not necessarily have relational scripts for later in life? And how does that like impact our ability to communicate? Do we just go back to the scripts that we had, or is this show just scripted?
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough, right? Like, because there's parts that are scripted. I learned that you don't trust quiet people, which is a new one. I didn't know that. I also learned that
I feel like all the introverts out there and the book quiet and just,
I'm gonna agree with you. I didn't realize we were both so bad with names, but and I both think we care about Rachel Nicole, but we're not willing to like call her by her real name.
I like legitimately have confused myself enough that I don't know what it
I
is.
couldn't tell you her real name. Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. City shout out, Leisure City, Florida. Yeah, only because that sounds like an amazing place, Leisure City. It is in Miami-Dade County. It's got about 26,000 people. And right now the average temperature is 81 degrees high, 61 degree low, with 2.6 inches of rain during November. About 74% of the population, or 78% of the population, is Hispanic or Latino. 13% is African American. 5.96% is Caucasian or white. Thank you, Leisure City, Florida. Yeah.
You make great decisions. You listen to our podcast and you live in a wonderful place.
Well, definitely a place with an amazing name. So
Yes.
Yeah.
And temperature.
I want to live in Leisure City. I feel like I could be a man of leisure.
Absolutely. I believe in you, Bill.
All right. Anything to close with?
Have a good night, y'all.
Everyone have a good night, and try to live in your own Leisure City. Bye.
You have been listening to Bachelor
with your hosts, Danielle Dick McGee,
Kim Hanna,
and Bill Hennig.
All thoughts and opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the person who spoke them.
If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to the show, leaving a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Also, please share with your family, friends, colleagues, and other ardent Bachelor fans.
If you have comments or questions you would like us to address on the show, you can email us at bachademia@gmail.com.
Or on the Twitter with the handle @Bachademia.
Thanks for listening.